عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Inshallah, this week the topic is on visiting those who are sick, visiting the sick people, visiting those who are afflicted with diseases. Now it's mentioned in Sahih Bukhari that Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that the Prophet ﷺ told us that Allah has not sent down any diseases, any illnesses without sending a cure as well. So every disease that we find, there's always a cure for it. And Rasulullah ﷺ also mentioned that there's only one disease where there's no cure. And mentioned that the disease that is all of old age. Aging, there is no cure to aging. This is in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ also mentions, and in regards to illnesses as well, and he commands us, is an advice that he's given to everybody. He says that if that a plague is a sign of a punishment, and I've mentioned this specifically from today as well, that a plague is a sign of punishment, and Allah has caused some of His servants to be afflicted with this disease, and to be afflicted with this plague. So some Muslims will be afflicted by this plague as well. And when you hear about this occurrence, when you hear about this plague, you should not go and visit those places. You should not go to visit those places, because what happens is contamination can happen and you'll also be afflicted with the plague. So Rasulullah ﷺ says that you should not visit those places, and if you live in those places, you should not leave those places either. Now, I mentioned this hadith specifically as we know what's happening in China as well, and ulama have said this as well, where they've prisoned millions and millions of Muslims. Millions, I think the number is around 56,000, I think, or 20 million Muslims that they've captured. And just recently I read on the news as well that due to this disease, the Chinese government have locked away 56 million. They've quarantined 56 million of their own people. So 56 million of the people in China have been quarantined, have been put into their own homes, and they're not allowed to leave their homes due to this illness, due to the plague that's come, the coronavirus. Now this is the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where the Chinese government, if they decide to attack these Muslims and torture these Muslims day in and day out, then this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do. He'll send a plague upon these people. And this is what we see, they're affected by this, and the death toll is still rising, and they've not been able to find a cure for this disease still. Now in regards to visiting the sick, it is one of the best sunnahs of the Prophet ﷺ to visit the sick people. He mentions this many times, and mentions that this is one of the rights that you have upon your other brother. It's a right that you have to visit your brother when he is sick. And we find in the seerah as well that the visiting the sick is such a beautiful sunnah that this led to non-Muslims accepting Islam. For example, we find in the seerah where there was the lady who would throw dirt and who would throw thorns on the path of the Prophet ﷺ every night. And one night he noticed that these thorns were no longer there. So he inquired about this. He asked, what's wrong? What's wrong with the lady? What's happened to her? And the people told her that she's fallen sick. So Rasulullah ﷺ visits her home to see how she is. And then she opens the door, and she used to throw thorns for the Prophet ﷺ. She had so much hatred to the Prophet ﷺ. Yet when she opened the door, she began crying and she accepted Islam from this. Just because the Prophet ﷺ came to visit her when she was sick. Because nobody else came to visit her. Only Rasulullah ﷺ, who is the greatest, the mercy to all mankind, and the mercy to all the worlds as well. He came and visited this woman, and she accepted Islam because of this. In regards to medicines, or when we visit people, in fact, we should make them feel at ease. We should not give them such a look or such a vibe that they know that they're worse off. So for example, if someone's condition is really, really bad, we should not sit there and say, or we should not give the look that your condition is quite bad or is worsening or something. We should not give them the idea that they're feeling really sick. We should make them feel at ease. We should make them feel at home when we're going to visit them. And if there's any work that they need to be done, we should help them carry this work out. For example, if they're in the home, we should help them at least clean the home, at least prepare some food for them as well. because sometimes some people when they're sick they don't have the energy to do so. Now in regards to medicines, we must know that all cures come from Allah in the end. In the end, Allah is the one who gives cure and He's the one who gives disease. This is the qudrat and this is the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The medicines that we use, this is a means that we have to attain this cure. Because in the end, it's always Allah that gives the cure. You can take like 100 paracetamols, but if Allah has not willed for you to be cured, then you'll not be cured. And even if you take no paracetamols, but Allah has willed for you to be cured, then you will be cured. This is all down to Allah. And to use haram things, to use, for example, I know some medicines contain pork gelatin, or some medicines contain alcohol. More commonly, they contain alcohol, and rarely they contain pork gelatin as well. Especially the capsule as well, that contains pork gelatin. This is haram for us to use because there is no certainty that this will cure you. There's no certainty that these medicines will cure. And people admit this today as well. Doctors will admit that there's only this 90% chance or there's 50% chance that this so and so will cure you. So in this case, if you decide not to take the medicine, and in fact we should avoid using medicine that contain alcohol, it's haram for us to use medicine which contain pork gelatin or the meat of any animal which is not halal. If there is meat of, for example, sheep or cow, then this animal has to be slaughtered correctly before we can use the meat in the medicine. Sometimes bones come on the same ruling as well, where for pork we can't use for pigs, basically just stay away from them. We can't use anything from them. We can't use their bones, their meat, or their fur as well. Whereas for cows and sheep, any halal animal, we're allowed to use their bones or their meat. In this country, we won't find halal medicines like that though. We'll find they won't slaughter them properly. And for the alcohol, it's haram to use these medicines unless it is the only medicine. It's in extreme circumstances. If there's a condition where you're not really bad off and you get better soon, there is no need to use this alcohol medicine. And same goes for the lotions and creams and face washes which contain alcohol as well. We should avoid using these because alcohol in itself is impure. So alcohol in itself is impure, and if we decide to use alcohol in lotions or creams, the purpose of a lotion and cream is to clean yourself or to make yourself look good. But if alcohol is impure, then why are we using impure items, impure materials to clean ourselves? This contradicts. If we're using something impure to clean ourselves, it will make it even more impure.
Can I just come into one question of that? You know, when you said about the medicine, Islamic organization has to consider that for Islamic purpose for using medicine, so they should organize this as well, isn't it?
Islamic organizations.
Yeah, for the medicine you just said about some of them can contain, but there's no Muslim people take them medicine as well, isn't it? So they should consider of that as well, isn't it?
What was the question?
Regarding the medicine, it's got the gelatines and things like that, you know, haram things. This avoids us not from using it, but some medicine that it can be organized by the Islamic organization.
Alright, so the halal gelatin. Yeah, this is halal then. If it's got halal, because for example,
the Islamic organization should consider into that.
Yes.
Yeah. So to use like halal gelatin.
Nowadays, if there's अगर ज़्यादा सीरियस हो जाए आदमी बचना नहीं है, डॉक्टर ने दे दिया है तो कि कहना है नहीं खाएंगे तो ये होता है कि अगर नहीं खाएंगे तो देखो दवा नहीं खाया मैं मर गया इस वजह से, ऐसा भी हो सकता है. इस वजह से आप उस तरह इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. लेकिन जो नॉर्मल जो कफ सिरप नहीं होता है इसमें भी होता है, तो इसको आप नहीं इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए, बचना चाहिए. फिर ऑफ द अल्कोहल भी है, कफ का सिरप है, ऑपरेशन होता है उसमें यूज करते हैं वो लोग, अल्कोहल को यूज करते हैं, तो देन इज ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. बस आदमी सीधा साधा बैठा रहा, क्रीम लगा लिया आपने, कोई जरूरत तो है नहीं. नो नीड.
बात नहीं मैं कर रहा, वो जो सब मेडिसिन होती है ना साहब, वो मार्केट में मिलती है, वो इस्लामिक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पता नहीं चलता है कि वो काफी मुसलमान भी इस्तेमाल करते हैं वो भी.
जी जी.
तो उसको पता नहीं का जेलेटिन है उसमें जी, तो उसको कंसीडर करना चाहिए कि दूसरे इस्लाम को आसानी हो सकती है.
आसान कंसीडर करनी चाहिए, इसमें काम करना जरूरी है अभी.
हाँ, तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को कुछ करना चाहिए.
जी जी, इज राइट.
Okay, thank you. So to say what Imam said, that if it's in extreme circumstances where there's like no other hope, like the doctor says if you don't use it you're going to die, then in this scenario it's allowed to use such medicines. Whereas in common colds, like for example you've got the cough or you've got the flu, then there are many different medicines. You've got, for paracetamol, there's so many different variations. So you should find the one which has no alcohol and no haram ingredients inside. You should use this for common colds and illnesses, where you can just go to the pharmacy yourself. And finally, for a person, if you decide not to use the medicine, and the ruling is, if this medicine, for example, if you're a sick person, if you're a hungry person, and there's food in front of you, then if you decide not to eat this food and you pass away from it, then you're sinful for this. And the same scenario goes for the thirsty person as well. If he's thirsty and there's only alcohol in front of him, then he is allowed to drink this alcohol. Because to survive, to protect yourself, is one of the rulings of Islam, where Islam's come to save yourself, save your intellect, and save your wealth as well. So if you do not drink this alcohol, you're going to die. In such a scenario, Islam allows you to drink this alcohol. Only such an amount that will quench your thirst. You should not drink the whole bottle. Only a few drops. But this scenario is in extreme circumstances. For example, in the case of medicines, if you decide not to eat this medicine and you pass away from it, then the person who did this, then it goes down to his intention. If he believes that the medicine will not cure him, then in such a scenario he is free of sin. But if he knows that this medicine, or he has believed that this medicine will cure him, he still decides not to use this medicine and he dies, then this sin will go down to him for not using this medicine, for not utilizing it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to act upon this, and allow us to stay firm upon the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمَا عَلِينَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينَ.